It is October, and if you are looking for a scary but excellent Catholic book to read,
we've got you covered.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, and this is Kate.
And welcome to a bonus spooky edition of what we've been reading. Today we have 4 scary Catholic books that are perfect for the fall. And we also have perfect weather to film this because it's windy and it's cloudy as we wait for Hurricane Ian to roll in.
So these books are great to get you in the mood for fall, October, Halloween. They all deal with mildly terrifying subjects such as demons, hell, purgatory, exorcism, possession, and more.
But they're all also very good books. You won't want to put them down, and you might not be able to get to sleep either.
Okay, so we're starting off today with this excellent but scary book called Slaying Dragons, What Exorcists See and What You Should Know by Charles Fraun.
In the book, the author interviewed several priests who are also exorcists, including Father Chad Ripperger and Father Gabriel Amorth.
Also, Father Jose Antonio Fertia and Father Gary Thomas. So these priests give you the lowdown on all the diabolical activity and the spiritual warfare going on around us every day.
So the book is very eye-opening. We hear all the time about spiritual warfare and the tactics of the devil, but this book really talks about how exactly that devil operates and how we can fight back.
Which I thought was very helpful because did you know that while devils and demons can't read your mind, they can play with your imagination. So they can suggest to you different horrible thoughts and ideas hoping to tempt you to sin. So if you ever have a random really evil thought or a horrifying dream and you wonder, where did that come from? That could be the source.
It's also interesting that Father Amorth notes that confession is more effective for driving out demons than an exorcism is. Confession is a sacrament, while exorcism is a sacramental. So that's very interesting. That's good to know.
Absolutely good to know. There was even one part of the book that I liked that was almost a little bit funny. One of the priests is talking about how there are certain saints that are really helpful in exorcisms because they are the arch enemy of certain demons. The priests see certain demons over and over again, and they call on these saints to help drive the demons out. So whenever certain demons see Padre Pio come along, they get very upset and they start screaming, "Oh no, it's the guy with the beard." I just thought that was so funny, the guy with the beard.
So the book is scary, yes, but it's also completely fascinating and very helpful and also very hopeful because there are lots of ways to protect you and your family from demons, from the influence of evil, and the book breaks down a lot of those ways in detail.
So this one would be a great one to read and discuss with your older teenagers or just to have on hand in your home as a reference. We thought it was excellent.
Our next book is Saints Who Saw Hell by Paul Thigpen. This one was probably the scariest.
Yes, it was. This one will definitely make you stop and think you do not want to go to hell.
So this book is based on different writings of people who had visions of hell, different saints, different visionaries, also on the writings compiled by Pope Gregory the Great, and also on Jesus's warnings about hell in the Bible. Jesus talked more about hell than any other person in the Bible, which is very sobering to think about.
Yes, it is. So definitely, I would say of the 4 books that we read, this was probably the scariest and the hardest to get through. The descriptions of hell are pretty graphic and horrible. So even though this was the shortest book, it just seemed like it went on forever.
One part that really grabbed our attention were the stories of people who saw hell and how afterward they completely changed their lives, often doing very harsh penances for their sins.
Yeah, they would go out and do really crazy things. Like in the middle of the freezing cold winter, they would go out and stand in rivers up to their necks until they were just numb from the cold. And when people would come by and say, "Why are you doing such harsh penance?" they would just look at them and say, "You know what? I've seen worse."
So it's very interesting and very eye-opening, but it was hard to read and we weren't sorry when it was over.
No, it reminded me of when C.S. Lewis wrote the Screwtape Letters, and he said that he hated writing it. It wore him out because thinking like a devil in that diabolical way all the time was just so hard. And that was how I felt reading this book. It was just so hard to get through. I'm glad I read it, but I was equally glad when it was over.
Our next book is Tortured Soul by Therese Linden, which is perfect for this time of year. It is a supernatural thriller, but it's not the creepy, weird kind of thriller.
No, it's not super modern, creepy, weird. I do not like that type of book, but this one was so good. We're big Therese Linden fans in general, but this one was a real page turner for us. We could not put it down. I read it in just a couple of days.
So Purgatory is the main theme of this book, and the story is fiction, but it's inspired by the German princess Eugenie von der Leyen and the apparitions she received.
Princess Eugenie was a modern person. She died in the late 1920s, and even though she is not an official saint, she was very devout. And throughout her life, she received multiple visits from the holy souls in Purgatory, and she wrote down all those visits in a diary.
So the book is about Jeannie Lyon, who has just moved into a new house, and she's living alone for the first time in her life, except for the fact that she quickly gets the feeling that she might not actually be alone.
So her family tries to tell her, Jeannie, you're just imagining things. So except for one friend, no one believes her. So she's left in this scary and difficult position of trying to decide, am I just imagining this, or am I really dealing with someone or something from beyond the grave?
So we don't want to give away any spoilers, but the book will definitely keep you turning pages and will have you praying hard for the holy souls in Purgatory. We especially love the ending.
Yeah, the ending was so good. And again, it's not like a creepy, awful, modern horror story. It's not like that at all. It's more suspense and mystery.
And the book is geared more towards adults, but you could definitely read it with older teens. They would enjoy it. And it's a great way to learn more about Purgatory and how it works.
Good news, our last book is a little bit more cheerful. In fact, it's pretty awesome. It's Saints Who Raised the Dead, True Stories of 400 Resurrection Miracles by Father Albert Hebert.
So we know that Jesus and the apostles, St. Peter and St. Paul, they raised people from the dead, but there have also been quite a few saints throughout history who have also raised people.
You might have heard, of this or that saint who raised someone from the dead, but some of them raised a lot of people from the dead. For example, Saint Hyacinth of Poland, he is on record for having raised at least 50 people from the dead in the city of Krakow alone. Also, Saint Patrick, patron saint of Ireland, is on record for having raised 39 people from the dead. That's pretty good.
St. Anthony of Padua raised 12 people, including one man who he brought back to life long enough to be a witness in a murder trial that his father was involved in. His father had been falsely accused, and this man was able to help clear his name.
Yay! So some of the stories in this book are definitely spooky, and there are some pretty grisly crime scenes. For example, St. Vincent Ferrer, the great Dominican priest, once he resurrected a baby that had been chopped up by his insane mother, roasted, and served for dinner. Yikes.
But some of the other stories are more lighthearted, like the horse that St. Patrick resurrected. Also, St. Francis Jerome once stopped a lava flow from Mount Vesuvius. So not exactly a resurrection, but he probably saved hundreds of lives.
And if you have a saint in your family, that is good news for you, because some saints, like Catherine of Siena and Teresa of Avila, resurrected members of their own family. And even Joan of Arc performed a resurrection, which I didn't realize. She brought a sick child who had died back to life.
So the book is definitely full of fascinating stories. Some of them are spooky, some of them are just amazing. It's definitely a fun and mind-boggling read.
So that is our roundup of 4 spooky but excellent Catholic books to read this October.
So let us know down in the comments which one of these appeals to you the most, which one you would read first, or if you have any spooky book recommendations to share.
As always, we thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.